Today, when a big tentpole film is on the horizon, we don't blink twice at the elements of its marketing that we've come to expect. Trailers, commercials, Happy Meal toys, it's all run-of-the-mill. Yet, for something so forgettable as a kids' meal toy, they were a pretty big deal for the parties involved in the 1990s. For Burger King in particular, it was a rare opportunity to take a shot at their perpetual foes, McDonald's. The Walt Disney Company had a brief history with McDonald's that only dated back a few years to a promotional campaign to help advertise Disney's upcoming attraction Splash Mountain in 1989. Due to delays in the ride's construction, it was a rocky start for a relationship that was bound to dissolve just as quickly as it had begun. As it was reported after the fact, Disney and McDonald's relationship began to deteriorate by 1990 and 1991. Disney had supposedly pitched a kids' meal tie-in for their action film, The Rocketeer, that McDonald's rejected outright. They also had a reported falling out over the promotional tie-in for the film Dick Tracy. McDonald's, being a worldwide leader in the fast food industry, was in a unique position to push back against Disney when they weren't happy with the deal. So when it came time to look for a fast food partner to work with for their upcoming animated feature, Beauty and the Beast, Disney instead turned to McDonald's competitor, Burger King, who jumped at the offer. It was a win-win for the two companies. Burger King, perpetually trailing behind McDonald's, saw it as an opportunity to close the gap between themselves and their number one fast food rival. As for Disney, beyond the help the tie-ins would have with marketing their films, they'd find themselves having an easier time working with Burger King. Being so eager to capitalize on the partnership, Burger King was extremely open to running with Disney's ideas and didn't resist their proposals the way McDonald's did. After all, this partnership was somewhat of a gift that fell into their lap, and had they given Disney a hard time, Disney might just have moved on to another fast food chain or just back over to McDonald's. Rather than signing into a long-term agreement, Disney and Burger King approached each tie-in promotion on a case-by-case basis, starting in 1991 with Beauty and the Beast, which happened to also be promoted through Pizza Hut as well. From there, the tie-ins would range from new films like Aladdin and The Nightmare Before Christmas, to re-releases of classics like Pinocchio, to even the 20th anniversary of Walt Disney World. The following year, Burger King ended up spending a reported $25 million on the Aladdin promotion, which involved selling 20 million character toys. They were gambling a lot of money, but the payoff was just as large. You see, the whole reason these promotional tie-ins were so coveted by fast food chains was because of something called the multiplier effect.
Hey, right now, Burger King has these cool Toy Story puppets. They're from the new Disney movie. You can collect all four, $1.99 each. With any Kids Club meal. Only at Burger King. And bring the folks. You might have your hands full.
In many cases, the toys were sold for a set price, usually between $1.50 and $1.99, alongside the normal price of a kid's meal. On top of that, children who wanted these toys were typically being brought to Burger King by their parents, who often purchased something for themselves as well. As a result, Burger King reported in 1995 that checks that included a $1.99 kids meal toy were averaging around $7 in total. Expand that out to 20 million toys and, well, Burger King was easily getting their money's worth out of the partnership. Not only that, but the structure of the tie-in spread out the earnings. Rather than selling all of the character toys at once, Burger King would introduce a new toy every week, ensuring that those looking to collect all four would have to keep coming back to the restaurant, and usually that meant they'd continue to buy more food. And that was just the beginning. As the Disney decade progressed and the company grew, so too did the promotional events over at Burger King. In 1994, they struck gold with the promotional tie-ins for The Lion King, which ended up selling 15 million toys in just the first 2 weeks of the summer-long program. In fact, the promotion was so successful that Burger King would later point out that customer traffic increased by 19% that summer. It wasn't pushing them past McDonald's, but it was helping them along just enough for McDonald's to take notice and to do something about it. That next year, McDonald's responded by launching a series of their own promotions, and while they didn't have movie toys to use as ammunition, they did have their prices. In January of 1995, they lowered the price of their Big Mac to 95 cents. And the following months saw other key menu items reduced in price. But that year, Burger King would still secure the tie-in rights to Pocahontas and Toy Story. Toy Story was an especially large campaign, estimated to run at a cost of $45 million and with 35 million toys sold. Burger King was in a good position. In fact, they were in too good of a position, because McDonald's started to make it known that they were interested in working with Disney again. Now, one might think that the deal with Burger King was working well, and that Disney wouldn't have a reason to rock the boat, but there was an appeal to switching back to McDonald's. While they were still the #1 chain, they were hungry for the partnership, which presented the chance that they'd be easier to work with this time around. On top of that, they were still the #1 chain. With nearly 19,000 locations across 93 countries, McDonald's offered far more promotional opportunity than Burger King did, which, for comparison, only had 9,000 locations across 56 nations. At first, McDonald's dipped their toes back into the water by bidding on a couple of one-off promotions that Burger King declined, with James and the Giant Peach and the live-action remake of 101 Dalmatians. However, Disney's previous few years of successful films, with a little pinch of competitive envy, put them in the perfect position to sell a lucrative and long-term deal to McDonald's. So in 1996, Disney would switch things up again and sign a 10-year-long contract with McDonald's that spanned beyond just toy tie-ins and would also include locations in the Disney parks and even a ride sponsorship. Disney and McDonald's had a long and profitable future to look forward to. But suddenly, Burger King was left out in the cold. Burger King expressed their disappointment in the decision, but made it clear that they weren't worried about continuing on without Disney. The movie tie-in concept was more than proven by that point, and there were plenty of other fish in the sea. So the following year, Burger King would partner with Universal to help promote the upcoming sequel to Jurassic Park, The Lost World. And just a few years after that, they'd find themselves signing a deal with DreamWorks Animation to help promote their films. That partnership would last for 7 years before it was ended. Unfortunately, it was ended because DreamWorks was moving on to partner with a different fast food chain, McDonald's. It was a tug of war that started with Burger King in second place and ended with Burger King in second place. It was a fruitful 6 years that, as luck would have it, allowed Burger King to capitalize on some of Disney's best films of the era, and it was a stark reminder of how quickly a good deal can come to an end in the world of business. I want to thank you all for watching. If you'd like to learn more about the larger history between McDonald's and Disney that stretches all the way back to the days of Walt himself, be sure to go check out Defunct episode on the subject. It's a great look back at the full picture, in which this three-way tango with Burger King, McDonald's, and Disney was just a blink of the eye.